And welcome everybody. This episode is for the beginner to moderate experienced players. I will provide my recommendation on the free weapons dropped by the enemies early in the waves that will save you some money, followed by the weapons I recommend and avoid. I will also share the recommended killstreaks and equipments to add to your arsenal. So let's begin. There are some free and effective weapons dropped early in the waves by the enemies. In waves 1 to 3, enemies drop Uzis and shotguns. If you pick up the weapons, remember to hunt the enemies down to collect their ammo. If you're in your hiding spot, wait for them to come to you, then take them out so you can take their ammo. In this example, you can see that I am collecting ammo as I mow down the enemies as they come. Now if you're playing with other aggressive players, they may be taking your kills, which equals to money and free ammo. Then hunt the enemies down. Look for the magazine icon to refill your ammo if you need to, for a cost of $250. Or wait for the wave to end and head to the Killstreaks store to buy a box of ammo to refill both weapons for $500, and that ammo crate can be shared 4 times. Wave 4 is when enemies drop more lethal weapons. I recommend keeping the Model 680 shotgun for close combat and juggernauts. At close range, you only need to pump 4 or 5 direct shells to bring down the juggernaut. For your secondary weapon to pick up from the enemies is either the PKM for its starting 100 round belt or the AK-47. When you level up these two weapons, you can equip the PKM with a 200 round belt, while the AK-47 maxes out at 75 round drum attachment. By using these weapons early in the waves, you save yourself $2,000 to $3,000 early in the wave. But of course, don't let me stop you from buying your weapon of choice. For survival mode, you need weapons with at least some decent range and damage along with high magazines or drums. The play pace and mechanics in survival mode is different from team deathmatches. Team deathmatches are usually about strategic offense, while survival mode is more defense. So avoid such classes from sniper and marksman rifles, handguns, launchers, and melee. Avoid SMGs as well, except for the AUG, since you can upgrade to 5.56 rounds with a 60 mag. Just imagine a whole force of enemies are after you like you're a fugitive and they have a tracker on you. Go with weapons from the assault, shotgun, or LMG class. I recommend a mix with these classes, such as an assault with a shotgun or LMG for secondary, or vice versa for the beginner to moderate level players. Shotguns are powerful but lack the range, while LMG's weakness is the reloading time, even with the sleight hand perk. So diversify or mix up your weapons for a more dynamic arsenal. Carrying 2 LMGs is fine. Just make sure you reload both before each wave. The last thing you want is running out of ammo with 1 LMG, only to switch to another LMG that you forgot to reload. Most LMGs take 5 to 7 seconds to reload. With at least 1 assault rifle or shotgun, you can reload in seconds to defend yourself. For the assault class, Kilo 141 for its 100 round drum if you have leveled up this weapon, or the AK-47 with its 75 drum. Other assault rifles such as the M4A1 or the Grau 5.56 maxes out at 60 round mag, but makes up for other attributes that's worthy for survival. The assault weapons I would avoid are Odin, FAL, and ROM7. For shotguns, I recommend the Origin 12. If leveled up, it comes with a 25 round drum, which is useful against multiple juggernauts or enemies trying to breach an entrance. The one shotgun I would avoid is the 7.25. It may be the most powerful with range, but lacks in reload time. Even with sleight of hand perk, this weapon is not recommended for survival mode, especially if you are by yourself or with just one other player. Finally, For LMGs, I recommend most for their damage and high capacity belt, but avoid the SA-87 and the MG-34. The SA-87 starts with a 30 magazine and only maxes out at 60, while the MG-34 starts with a 50 ammo drum capacity with a slow reload rate and only maxes out at 100 ammo capacity. MG-34 is a fun weapon, but not recommended for beginner to moderate level players. Killstreaks are an important component to your survival. For starters, ammo and armor crates are highly recommended early and throughout the game. Always make sure your armor is full before each wave. Grenade crates are recommended as well once you have bought your equipment of choice. Sentry gun is great for backup and as a companion to help distract and take down the overwhelming hordes of enemies. It's very effective at mid-range placements as it requires time to lock on to its targets. Its weakness is close range, so avoid placing these in small rooms, and it has a limited time of use. You can save the time limit by picking it up when there are no enemies around. The maximum number of sentry guns you can use is 2. You can buy 3 for your killstreak inventory, but can only use 2 at a time. If you try to use the 3rd sentry gun, the first sentry gun you use will be destroyed and, well, you just wasted your money. Also, remember the sentry gun and shield turret icons look similar. I've seen a number of new players accidentally bought the shield turret for the sentry gun. When they use it, they wondered why it just stood there and not activate on its own. So, to ensure you bought the right sentry gun, it's the one that costs $4,000, not $2,000. Juggernaut Suit is the best overall for its unlimited ammo, and there is no time limit for wearing the suit. Its limit, however, is the armor, so make sure you have a backup weapon ready once the suit wears off. Otherwise, you'll end up with just a pistol against hordes of enemies. You can exit the suit at any time to revive a friend by pressing and holding the square button located in the lower left corner. Be aware that once you exit the suit, it's gone. You will need to buy or use a new one if you have another Juggernaut suit in your killstreak inventory. The suit is highly recommended as a backup for emergencies should you or your team become overwhelmed by enemies later in the waves. The other worst case scenario is when other players experience network or server disconnections, leaving you all by yourself. Now, do you need this suit to survive to waves 50 or 100? My answer is no. There are many strategies in the game that can help you survive to greater waves, which I will cover in my other videos. The respawn flare is expensive, but useful for emergencies. Your entire team can be revived with one use without you or anyone being there to revive them. It's also useful to have when a teammate needs to head to a store across the map to buy weapons or gear but might have a difficult time getting back due to limited time or a new wave of enemies that may stop them in their tracks. Other kill streaks such as the attack helicopter, gunship, precision airstrike, and cluster bombs are recommended as well. Just make sure you take shelter in a safe spot since you can destroy yourself with these kill streaks. The rest of the kill streaks I would recommend only to moderate and advanced players, except for the one which is completely useless, and that is the UAV, since you already have a radar. Equipment should be considered and useful in survival mode. With the right equipment, it can protect and save your life. There's tactical and lethal. When you use the left bumper or button to toss the flashbang, that's tactical. The right button to throw a grenade is called lethal. So for tactical, I recommend the stim. Gas, flash, stun, or smoke grenades may disorient the enemies for a few seconds, but in some cases, these grenades can work against you and even injure you if you are low on health. The stim, on the other hand, revives your health when it's low. You can also fire your weapons while using the stim at the same time. Be aware that it's a one-time use, but can be replenished by the grenade box you buy at the Killstreak store. For lethal, I recommend Proximity Mine. Thermite or Molotov cocktail are great equipment as well. Claymore and C4 are fine too, but requires a little more work. Compared to proximity mines, claymores are more safe since it detonates away from you if planted properly. C4s requires timing and your action to trigger the explosives. Proximity mine detonates on its own when it detects enemies anywhere near it, but can injure you if handled improperly. You can plant or toss the mines at short range on hordes of enemies and watch it decimate the crowd in a blink of an eye. Bear in mind that you can only plant a maximum of 4 at a time. Planting the 5th one will cause the first one to explode. The grenade crate allows only 4 uses before it breaks. If you have the money, I highly recommend paying the $5,000 for a second letho, or as it's labeled, buy shrapnel perk. Just to be clear, for example, you can only carry 2 proximity mines, not 1 mine and 1 Molotov. Like a knife, thermite is great for tossing at crowds of enemies and very effective against juggernauts. Molotov cocktail provides a splash damage and a firewall or gate that burns and slows enemies from rushing at you. Feel free to experiment with the equipment until you find one or a few that suits your playstyle. That is it for this video. See you in the next episode.